The month of September is bringing about a lot of changes. We've got two eclipses, a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse, that are happening this month in the signs of Virgo and Pisces. We've got Saturn retrograding back into the sign of Pisces, and that's where he'll stay until February of 2026. We've got Mercury moving into Virgo. We've got Venus moving into Virgo. Mercury will be exalted there. Venus will be in her fall. We've got a Mercury Cazimi this month as well in the sign of Virgo. As this video comes out, we've got gate 40 illuminated in the sky, the gate of aloneness. And then we've got the conscious earth in gate 37, which is the gate of friendship. And together they create the channel of community. And the channel of community is a tribal channel that's about taking care of the tribe and being rewarded for it. It can bring this energy of, what does it mean to be in community? What does it mean to take care of other people and allow ourselves to be taken care of? So once again, this theme that we've talked a lot about with this, like, how do we take care of others while not abandoning ourselves, with all this energy in Aries, Chiron retrograde in Aries, is coming up strongly around this end of August, beginning of September. How do we understand that community requires a certain level of inconvenience? But that doesn't mean that we exhaust ourselves trying to make everybody happy. In the Gene Keys, the higher expression of Gate 40 is about surrendering your own will to the will of the divine so that you can be carried by the divine. And I posted this quote by Rainer Maria Rilke on my posts, on my YouTube posts, our community tab, that really reminds me of this. So check that out if you haven't already. About how do we allow what we want to be supported by the breath of the divine. Speaking of Chiron, Chiron is currently sitting in gate 3, and it's actually forming the entire channel of mutation because Pluto is currently retrograde in gate 60. This is a very it's literally called the channel of mutation. So it's a very transformative, mutative channel that goes from chaos to order and chaos to order. So it can feel moody and oftentimes melancholic collectively. And through this going back and forth between chaos and order, things transform. We find new ways of doing things. So when we think about Chiron, Aries, Pluto, and Aquarius lighting up this part of the chart collectively, and we're dealing with these themes of community versus self, taking care of others, it kind of Aries, self, Pluto and Aquarius, community. This is a really major theme right now. I want to delve into all of these things deeper, the Cazimi, the eclipses, of course I'm going to, but before I do that, I wanted to just highlight these parts of our chart, this axis of Pisces, Virgo, for each of the rising sun, moon signs as we move through this energy of September, because this is where so much of the energies are moving during this month. When it comes to eclipse season, we know it can bring some chaos. We know that we can get triggered. We know that a lot of the changes that happen are even more out of our hands than normal, right? We normally don't even have the ability to control the events in our lives, just how we react to them, which is why the embodiment portion is so important. But during eclipse season, it feels even more so. There's that fatedness, that karma, some sort of destiny being realigned, and especially if you're a mutable sign, right? So Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini. And especially if you've got your nodes in this axis as well. So if you're going through a nodal return, so you have your natal north node in Pisces, or the nodal reversal, which means you have your natal node, north node in Virgo, these are very pivotal times for you. And if you have both, multiple planets on this axis or in the mutable signs and your nodes there, yeah, there's some redirection happening for you real strong right now. So that's what I want to focus on today. And then as the month goes on, we'll focus on the other aspects that are happening more in depth. And during this time, I want us to try to remember that it's not about what is happening during eclipse season, but why. What is the story here? What is the lesson beneath what's happening externally in your life? That's what we're going to focus on with these all signs. We'll talk a little bit about where the themes are for you and then the lessons as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. For Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you have this Virgo, Pisces axis lit up for you in the 6th and the 12th house. So this is really about your day-to-day work, your responsibilities that you take on, work, health, your sense of service. This is a house of duty, of hard work. And then the 12th house, so that's the 6th house, and the 12th house is rest, surrender, spirituality, solitude, meditation, spiritual retreat. So as Saturn moves back into your 12th house, as you have these eclipses on this axis, Mercury and Virgo, or Mercury and Venus are going to move into your 6th house. There's a real emphasis on what it means to do and not do. Learning to balance being out in the world, being of service, but then also taking care of yourself. Physically, yes, and also spiritually on a really deep level. Where are you over giving and where do you need to let go to trust the bigger plan in life? When we have Saturn in the 12th house, there are these lessons that we're learning that we can't quite see, right? And Saturn's moving back into this part of your chart for several months before he moves back into Aries. And this is a really big theme of closing something out, redefining some sort of structure. But in the 12th house, sometimes this can be difficult because we can't quite see where it is that we need to restructure. It's in the realm of your subconscious. There's something at play here. And it may be related to your work as well, but it's really, there's something at play here about these subconscious stories that you've told about what it means to be of service. And how, in a lot of ways, that has been you doing too much for others and not thinking about yourself. And I know this sounds so silly because we think of Aries and we're like, oh, well, they're the ones that are, selfish and they're the first sign. But I find that that's not necessarily true, right? And when this axis shows up, whatever's happening during this eclipse season, during the month of September, this is what it's asking you to think about, this balance of giving, of doing versus receiving and surrendering. Where are you at in that area of life? Let's see if the tarot has anything, just any advice for this month of September. Ace of Wands. This is creativity. This is also, though, spirituality. There may be a wave of spiritual or creative, an idea that comes about, but I think it's going to require that you rest, that you get still. I know this is weird. I'm asking an Aries to get more still, but it feels like something is wanting to come through you, and yet it can't do that if you don't have the space for it. And you're constantly doing, and you're constantly out there outputting, being productive. This may also be giving you advice to lean into doing something that you love, something creative, rather than something that feels like work. And maybe those two are the same things, but lean into, how can I make this more fun? How can I make this more creative? How can I enjoy this more? Rather than, this needs to get done. This is my responsibility. If I don't do this, I won't be worthy. I won't be of service. This is actually saying that in some ways you're being of service through rest, so that something can come through that's important in some ways. Aries, let me know how this resonates for you. Let me know what's going on in your life and how you see this lesson playing out for you. As always, if you'd like to go deeper with me, I have my link in the description box below, and I'll see you guys soon. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have this Virgo Pisces axis that's being lit up in the month of September in the 5th and the 11th house for you. So eclipse season is chaotic, yes, but these are at least trine and sextile to you. However, your ruling planet, Venus, will be entering Virgo, the sign of her fall, after on the 19th of September. But still, this is an axis of, when you think of the 5th house, creativity, joy, pleasure, entertainment, romance, love, self-expression. And then you've got the 11th house, which is community. It's not so much about you, but about everybody, collective visions, friendships, groups that you're a part of, any sort of network that you're a part of. This is also a house of your future hopes and visions. So really, for you guys, the part that's being lit up because of Mercury and Venus is that 5th house axis. But we've, of course, got the South Node and the lunar eclipse and Saturn going through your 11th house. So both of this, in the beginning I talked about this really short. I'm going to go into more depth about all of this stuff. I just want to highlight the part of the chart that this is happening in for you guys. So there may be a lot of themes coming up around what I just mentioned, the 5th and 11th house. But what's the underlying lesson here? What are we balancing out? Because eclipse season can be quite chaotic. Things could be moving very fast. So rather than getting caught up in what's happening out here, what's the lesson here? And for you guys, it might be a sense of reclaiming joy, creativity, love, and self-expression, while also redefining what groups you belong to, what communities you want to be a part of, and what your role is going to be in those communities. What is the balance between your fire, your input, your leadership, and your cause, the cause of the group, the cause of the collective? There's this rebalancing that's happening here that for some of you guys, it may be that you're leaning too far into groups and not enough into yourself. And whatever happens, understand that that's what's trying to balance out. Those are the lessons that you might be trying to be taught, is that you can't lean too far in this direction. You can't lean too far in that direction. Let's see if the tarot has anything else for you guys here. Any lessons for my Taurus? Like I said, we'll go into more depth as the month goes along. This is just a little prerequisite. Ace of Cups, a new emotional beginning. And when I see the cups, a lot of times it could be in terms of love, in terms of romance. As you can see, the cup is overflowing. So this is reminding you that all love starts with self-love. And so in order for you to be able to have this overflowing cup filled with love and creativity and emotions, you have to first learn to have it overflowing. So anything that happens that throws you off, think about in what ways is this trying to get me back into balance between me and my cause, my leadership and the group. These are the themes that are coming up for you. So Taurus, let me know how that resonates for you. Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I'll have my link in the description, and we'll talk soon. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This month is important for you guys, right? You're one of the mutable signs. So this is happening on your 4th, 10th axis, these eclipses. Saturn's moving back into your 10th. Mercury and Venus are moving into your 4th. So big themes around your home, your inner emotional foundations, your inner private life, your parents, your family, and then also the 10th house, your achievements, your public life, your legacy, your reputation, career, right? Public role. There's a lot of karmic changes happening here. Destiny, fate coming through to put you in a certain position. But I want to also focus on like, what's the theme here, right? What's the, what's the lesson? Those are the themes. What's the lesson? Because during this time, things may often get quite chaotic, and it's easy to get lost in what is happening. And if we can focus it back to why is this happening, sometimes it can help us redirect some of the anxiety that we may be feeling, right? Because there's some tension here because of this axis that's being lit up for you. It's squaring you. So this is, in my opinion, the lesson here is, how do we realign your emotional foundations so that your outer path mirrors your inner truth? Anything that is thrown off course here during this month has something to do with that in some way. If something happens in career, it might be that it wasn't reflective of your inner truth. If something happens in the home, it may be that you need a new foundation to build that outer career, that outer path on. What are you building out in the world? And how does that feel inside of you? Does it feel like home? Does it feel like a place you can rest? Or is it something that is creating anxiety for you? This is important. This is really important. Especially if you have anything in the middle or the end of Gemini. So around 14, 15, 16, or 27, 28, 29, but really for all Geminis. This is really important. And I just asked, Mercury, your ruler, will be exalted and at home in Virgo for much of the month, which will be nice. Giving you an essence of mental clarity, and especially with the Mercury cazimi, like, we'll talk about all of this later on in the month as it comes along, but you might be getting some clarity about your home life, moving, what's going on within your home, or something deep within you in your inner foundations. Let's see if the tarot has anything for you. Any advice for my Geminis? Oh, this card. Ooh, that's a beautiful card. The Nine of Cups. This is wish fulfillment. Wow. For some Geminis, especially in those degrees I mentioned, there might be something like a wish is being fulfilled in your home life. A wish is being fulfilled in your public image, reputation, career. I have a feeling that if I could just say one thing to you guys during this time, is keep yourself in integrity. Make sure that the more that you focus on what you're outputting is built on your inner truth, the more I think that this is going to be impacted. This wish that you're being granted, it's dependent on how much you are able to remain in integrity in what you're building out in the world. Even if it's not necessarily career, it's just an achievement that you're going towards, some sense of authority that you're trying to put out in the world. It needs to be coming from someplace really strong and foundational. And like I said, anything that happens to disrupt that is saying we want, like, it's literally the universe saying we want to grant you this wish, but the foundations that you are building are not correct. So we're going to have to make some changes. Powerful stuff. Geminis, let me know how this resonates. Please like and subscribe. If you want to work with me, I'll have the link in the description down below. I'll see you guys next time. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have this 3rd and 9th house axis being lit up for you during the month of September. As I mentioned in the video, in the beginning part of the video, I'm going to go more into depth throughout the month, but I just wanted to talk about the parts of our charts that are being impacted the most with the eclipses, Saturn moving into Pisces, Mercury and Venus moving into Virgo. So what are the themes here? And then also the lessons underneath the themes of what's happening. So the themes here, third house, mindset, communication, neighbors, siblings, cousins, your immediate environment, your day-to-day routines. This is, your local environment, your immediate bubble that you live in. This is also learning skills. And then you've got the ninth house, which is much broader. It's not necessarily your local environment. It's environments that are foreign to you. So far away places, travel. Some of you guys could be traveling during this time or wanting to travel. The ninth house is also a house of higher education. So rather than learning skills, it's more like going back to school. So some of you guys may be going back to school or wanting to go back to school or planning to go back to school, or these shifts, these destined, fated shifts are happening in this sector of your life. Travel, education, legal matters, finding purpose and meaning in your life, having a mentor that you can turn to. This is also religion, and in some ways having faith in the world. So whatever's happening out here, what's the lesson beneath this, right? Because so many things can change and shift during eclipse season. This is truly, I feel like, shifting the narrative of your life, shifting your life story. So it's not about just going back to school or just picking up a new skill or changing your local environment. Maybe there's moving or traveling happening. You're doing it in essence for the plot, if that makes sense. Like, you're doing it so that you can look back and have a story to tell. When I went to pharmacy school, now was this really practical? I don't know. But when I went to pharmacy school, I applied to a pharmacy school. I was like, listen, I want to live on the East Coast. I want to go to school in Massachusetts. So I'm not going to apply to a bunch of schools. I was kind of on the fence about going to pharmacy school. And I was like, if I get into this school, that's what I need. You know, most people apply to a bunch of places. But I did it for the plot because I really wanted to live in Massachusetts. I wanted to go to school in Massachusetts. And I was like, well, I don't want to go back to school after this. So I'm just going to do it in Massachusetts. It's kind of like that kind of energy. You're doing it for the story. But also, like, I think about the ninth house being beliefs and your philosophy on life, and really doing this in order to test the limits of how you've allowed some limiting beliefs or just beliefs in general to limit you in this life. And then from that space, choosing a horizon into which you can expand into. Whether that's school, whether that's traveling, whether that's taking up learning, whether that's finding a mentor, or going on this like path of finding truth and meaning and purpose in your life. So if any of you guys are traveling this month, it might be kind of crazy. This card came out for you guys, King of Cups. So the advice for you guys during this month is, how do you navigate whatever's happening with emotional maturity? Being ruled by the moon makes you moody. It is what it is. The moon changes signs every 2.5 days. And so sometimes it can be difficult for Cancers to maintain emotional consistency, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with, right? That's kind of the beauty of you, is that you are so near to everything. Everything is so close to you. You know, there's no distance between you and things and the people around you. This is asking you to kind of have a little bit of space from what's happening, and to allow that to give you that emotional maturity that this time might be asking for. I also just feel like for some of you guys, there could be like some sort of a mentor coming into the life that's very specific. Could be a water sign that's very specific. This is a general reading. Take what resonates, take what doesn't. So Cancers, let me know how this resonates for you. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this content. If you'd like to work with me, I'll have my link in the description down below, and I'll see you next time. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. You've got this axis of the second, 8th house lit up during the month of September. As I mentioned in the first part of the video, I'm going to be going over these themes in more depth throughout the month, talking about each of the eclipses and things like that. But I wanted to just come on here and talk about this axis, right? Because Saturn is also moving back into Pisces. Mercury and Venus are moving into Virgo this month, and then we've got the eclipses on this axis. So big changes happening here. Lots of transformation, fate, destiny, karma, redirection. And for you guys, it's around money and self-worth, your income, your resources, the second house, right? And then the 8th house is shared resources, intimacy, power dynamics. So this is really about how you value yourself versus how other people value you. Learning how to balance. These are the themes, right? And then I want to talk about the lessons underlying this, because during eclipse season, so many things can change. We can get lost in what's happening out here. But if we can remember what's the lesson here, it can help us have some perspective, right? So there may be changes in your intimate bonds. There may be some changes in how you allow yourself to be supported in those intimate bonds or to support the other. Because something might be changing around your self-worth. Also, just saying, whenever we have the 8th house highlighted, this is other people's money. So there could be obviously this is a general reading, but for some Leos, there could be some money coming in that's not yours. So inheritance, some sort of it's like the part of your chart that's like, oh, you randomly get an insurance check or something happens and you get a lump sum money that's not yours. And then, it could also be debt. So something where you have to owe people money, it's like those sorts of things with the 8th house. And then the second house is your money. So it could be a rise in income. It could be a fall in income. It really depends on your chart specifically. But that's the axis and how much you value yourself, like I said, versus how much other people value you. But the lesson underneath this is owning your worth and disentangling from any power dynamics that undervalue you. If people are being taken away from you from these eclipses or something's happening, know that in some ways that contract, there was an imbalance in the power. What is yours to think about and what is other people's, right? The 8th house is often, when we're not working with it correctly, it's where we take on a lot of emotional baggage that's not ours. So it can make us overgive emotionally, sometimes financially too, but really we feel it emotionally. It can be, the 8th house is very entangled. It's very complex, right? This is a house of psychology, the occult, mysticism, mystery, addictions as well. So there could be a lot of themes around addictions that you've had in relating to other people. And also, how can you let yourself be loved and supported by other people, both emotionally and financially, and learning that you don't have to do it on your own. So these are the lessons that could be coming up during eclipse season or during the month of September for you. And beyond, right? Because we know eclipses go far beyond when they happen, but it'll be highlighted strongly this month with all the changes that are happening. Let's see if there are any lessons that the tarot wants to give Leos. Connection. This is saying, let go. Virgo on the second house can very much make our sense of worth be tied to being perfect. And this can actually really hold us back. I say us, of course, as you may or may not know, I'm a Leo rising. This can actually hold us back financially as well, because everything has to be perfect. I can tell you that is very true for me. And this is saying, loosen up, have some fun, connect, enjoy the presence of others, create something, right? 3 is the number of creativity. And this is in the emotional realm. That's why it's like get together with other people, have fun, create an emotional atmosphere with others in community, enjoy. And maybe in some ways, that's the way that you value yourself and let other people value you, is by allowing yourself to just let go and surrender and love and be loved exactly as you are and exactly as other people are, loving them that way too. This is deep. Let me know how that resonates for you guys, Leos. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to work with me, I'll have my link in the description down below. I'll see you guys next time. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is big for you. This is a big month for my Virgos, especially if you have anything around 14 to 16 degrees or the very end of Virgo as well. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning part of this video, I'm going to be going over the eclipses, and we're gonna have a Mercury Cazimi in Virgo, and Venus will be in Virgo, and Mercury will be in Virgo. So we'll talk all about that all more in depth, but I want to just focus on this axis of change. Saturn moving back into your 7th house of Pisces. I want to talk about this axis, which for you guys is the 1st and the 7th house, and then the lessons behind what's happening right now, right? Because especially for Virgos, there might be a lot of things that are changing externally in your life, in your relationships, and it gives us some perspective when we understand why these things might be happening. So we'll talk about both. So 1st house, your body, your health, your identity, your perspective, your appearance, your attitude. And then the 7th house, relationships, contracts, partnerships, other people in your life, right? So this, oftentimes when we have things lighting up the 7th house, it can be other people are changing in our lives, or things are happening that are fated, destined, karmic with other people, and it affects us, right? Because we're in their life. So what's the lesson underneath this, right? Because so many things could be happening, changes in relationships, changes in you and your identity. And for you guys, that may come through in a lot of different ways, but a part of me feels as though like you're initiating a lot of the changes, even though with eclipse season, we know that we kind of have this hands off, like we've got to let go more than even usual. And as a Virgo, that can be difficult because you guys really like to know what the outcome is. But right now I feel as though you are getting this urge to change something about yourself on a really fundamental level. And that is going to change and shape your relationships, of course, right? So the lesson here would be like rewriting the story of who you are and how that shapes your relationship. So you can ask yourself, like, who am I becoming now? And because of that, who belongs beside me? Let's see if the tarot has anything for you guys. Any advice for my Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising? 10 of Pentacles. This is the ultimate card of abundance. And because it's Pentacles, this can often be money, resources, feeling like you have resources or the money that you need, or this, that you're feeling abundant in some ways financially. But here's the thing about the 10 of Pentacles that I've noticed oftentimes is that it's not the 10 of Cups, which is like fulfillment. And so sometimes it can be like, yes, we have the money. Yes, we have the resources. We have the assets. And this is important, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We can't, self-actualize without having our basic needs met. But sometimes the 10 of Pentacles can feel like, okay, I have all this stuff, but I'm not fulfilled. I worked really hard, but I'm not fulfilled. because who am I? You know, like I've built this thing, I've been of service to other people, seventh house, but who am I? Something is missing oftentimes with this 10 of Pentacles. And so any changes that happen in the external world, whether they feel good or not good, it's pointing to something like this. The energy is wanting you to feel abundant, not just have it. Virgos, let me know how that resonates. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content. If you want to work with me, I'll have my link in the description down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have your 12th and your 6th house axis being lit up during the month of September. We've got the eclipses there, lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. We've got Mercury and Venus moving into Virgo, Saturn retrograding back into Pisces, into your 6th house. So we're going to talk about the themes there, of course, but also the lessons that are underneath anything that may be happening. What the fuck was that?
Fireworks? I have no idea.
I sound like guns. Okay, so Libra rising, we need to edit that out. When we think about the themes of the 12th and 6th, 12th is spirituality, isolation, solitude, meditation, long distance travel. This is subconscious beliefs. And then you've got the 6th house, which is work, service, illness and health, diet, taking care of that mind-body connection. The 6th house, like I said, it's like it's work as well, and responsibility and duty, what you want to be of service to. Oh, okay. I got some cards for you guys. I'm only doing one card, but I got 3 for you. The King of Wands, the 3 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords. Okay. Interesting. Okay, let me just talk about this astrology first, and then we'll go into that. So there may be a lot of changes happening here, right? And for you guys specifically, because you've got Mercury moving into Virgo, Venus in Virgo, obviously the Sun is in Virgo. This is 12th house heavy. So subconscious, self-limiting beliefs. But once again, a lot of stuff happening in the 6th house that is out in the real world. So things could be happening with your health. Things could be happening. This can feel ultra chaotic in some ways. This is collective, obviously, but chaotic in a way that you can't quite understand what's happening. When we have a lot of 12th house energies, it can be like sleep disruption as well, or feeling really sleepy, something to do with sleep. But what I'm hearing here is that the King of Wands is like entrepreneur energy. It's like taking control of the ship. And how do we do that when we're letting subconscious patterns run our day-to-day life? Right? So like some of the lessons here are maybe around like clearing hidden cycles, clearing hidden beliefs that are running the show in the background, that are keeping your day-to-day, possibly your health and your work life, in a state of unhealthiness. And so you're being asked to move into something more healthy, more aligned, something more calm, going into calmness rather than the chaos. And I talked about that in the beginning of this video about the channel of mutation that's being lit up right now. We're seeing a lot of calm, chaos, calm, chaos. The 3 of Swords can often be rejection, betrayal, disappointment. So this could be in love matters recently. And for some of you guys, once again, this is very general. This is a collective reading. It could be that there is something having to do with relationships that is at the root of this in some way. So it could be like moving on from a relationship. It could be moving on or a relationship or something painful. It doesn't, but see, the 3 of Swords doesn't have to be relationships. It can just be betrayal. or rejection, the fear of it, possibly. Like maybe that's what's kept you stuck in chaos, is that there's a fear of rejection, there's a fear of betrayal, a fear of abandonment because of old wounds. So it doesn't have to be necessarily something happening right now, but the King of Wands doesn't let that stop them. So that's really the message and advice that I'm getting for you guys, is in order to move away into calmer waters, into more alignment, you're going to have to get over those fears of rejection, abandonment, and pain, past or present. And once again, like thinking about what stories you're ready to dissolve so that your day to day and the responsibilities that you take on into your day to day, it's not just your routines, the responsibilities that you take, the kind of work that you do is more in alignment with you, has more integrity. So Libras, let me know how this resonates. This really feels like you guys are ending a lot of old patterns, which is really powerful. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I'll have my link in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have this axis of the 11th and 5th house being lit up for you. During the month of September, we've got the eclipses here, the nodes here, Saturn's moving back into Pisces, Mercury, the Sun, Venus in Virgo, which is for you guys the 11th house. So what are the themes here that are being highlighted, where the changes, the fate, the destiny, the karma could come into your life? And then what's the lesson underneath that, right? Because oftentimes during eclipse season, things can get very chaotic, changes can happen very fast, and it can make us feel like we're losing control in some ways, because we are, right? That's what the nodes do when they're activated in these eclipses, more so than normal. And for Scorpio, that can be kind of tough because you guys like to stay in a state of emotional control. And this is always a time of surrender for you. And it's easier to know how and when to surrender if you understand the lesson underneath what's actually happening. So we'll talk about that too. So the 11th house, community, friendships, social networks, future hopes, visions, and dreams. This is about collective causes, humanitarian causes, organizations. It's about the group. And then the 5th house, which is your self-expression, your creativity, your joy, love, romance, entertainment, pleasure, your children or your own inner child. We're redefining the balance between those two themes during eclipse season. And anything that happens out in the external is trying to show you where you have been imbalanced, where you have not been putting enough focus. So if themes come up in that are, you know, bringing attention to love and romance and creativity, that's where the balance needs to come. Like you've been too far into like, what do I need to do for the group? What do I need to do for the collective? What do I need to do in my humanitarian causes? 11th house is also social media. So it could be like, oh, like, how do I want to present myself out there? This is a collective reading, take what resonates, right? Because I'm picking up on collective themes here. So social media might be kind of small, but there's something about like other people and trying to please them versus the 5th house, which is about doing whatever comes up creatively for you, those urges, and following them through. Where have you lost your joy in service to a group, a collective, an organization, some sort of humanitarian cause? Where can you recenter that? And like I mentioned in the beginning part of this video, I'm going to be diving deeper throughout this month on the eclipses and, you know, each one and all these things. This is just an overview so that you can start kind of getting acquainted on where this might be happening for you. Now let's see if there are any, or if there is a message. Oops, something just turned over from the tarot. High Priestess. When I see the High Priestess, it's an invitation to come back to your intuitive center. This is indicating to me that this isn't so much about your external world right now. The advice is, like, once again, when I said, where have you lost your joy in service to others? To the collective, to the group, the organization. Where have you lost your sense of joy? It may not show up for you. It may show up for you externally, for sure. We know that eclipses can often instigate physical, material, 3D changes. But for you, this is about reigniting something. It's about reconnecting to that inner child, that sense of joy in the world, creativity, self-expression, entertainment. And then from that space, re-offering yourself to the collective. So Scorpios, let me know how this resonates. Make sure you like, and oh, one last thing with the, let me just finish that. Make sure you like and subscribe, yes. But also with the High Priestess, this is a time of going inward, meditation. How do you connect to your inner self, to your intuition? This is a time to be led by the intuition. Yes, anyway, like and subscribe if you want to work with me on my link in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This was kind of big for you guys. This is a big month. You've got a lot of stuff happening on your angular 10th and 4th houses, right? So especially if you have anything around the end of Sagittarius or in the middle of Sagittarius, that is going to be hit by the eclipses. As we go through the month, I'm going to go deeper into these eclipses, the Cazimi, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Virgo, all these things. But I just want to give you guys a heads up on what is changing, or what are the aspects of your chart that are changing the most during the month of September. So for you guys, the themes are 10th house, career, reputation, public status, achievements, authority. And in the 4th house, home, family, emotional foundations, your inner private life. There may be changes in those parts of your chart. Maybe changes in your home life, whether that's moving or somebody moving in, somebody moving out. Changes in your career trajectory. Maybe making a decision or something happening, right? We know with the eclipse season, oftentimes it's the universe making decisions for us rather than ourselves. And we just have to learn how to reorient ourselves. And we'll talk about the underlying lessons that may be underneath what's happening so that you can have some perspective when things are happening this month. For example, this may be for some of you guys, similarly to Gemini, making sure that your outer and inner life are working together. That you're not building a public persona or a public image that is built off of a false truth emotionally. But also, I think the emphasis for you guys, because you know you've got the North Node and Saturn now in the 4th, is really on the foundation of you. There may be some thoughts around like what public structures are no longer supportive for you, or like what am I doing in my career and all these things. Yes, the energy is there too, right? Because we've got Mercury in Virgo and Sun in Virgo, like that's where the light is shining. But it's also really important to think about like the depths, the roots of the chart is the 4th house, the IC. Even if your career and your public life isn't going well, how are you going to find fulfillment internally? That's going to be important. A lot of Sagittarius people could be moving or wanting to move during this time. Let's see if there's any advice that the tarot wants to give. This is the card of the Apprentice. It's almost like you're being asked to just continue working hard. Or whatever you're working on, it's saying keep doing it. For some of you guys, this could be like in your career, maybe you've been working towards something but not really seeing the fruits of your labor. And I'm being told that there's something about having faith, but also working hard. Like whatever you're doing right now that has to do with those 10th and 4th house themes, eclipse season comes in, shakes things up. It might present to you a new opportunity, and you're being asked to just really put your head down and work. You know, we think of Sagittarius, we don't think often about somebody who puts their head down and works. Not that you can't be a hard worker, absolutely, but we think of the visionary. And this is not a card of a visionary, it's more of a card of the apprentice. Like you're in the state of learning something. And you're being asked to just continue learning, because as we know, the effects of the eclipses are not felt now, right? They can take 6 months to a year. Generally, it can be like very active for 6 weeks, but it can take 6 months, especially with the solar eclipse in your 10th house at the end of the month. That can take a year for us to see anything, usually around 6 months. So you're being asked to kind of like humble yourself. And maybe there's like a work idea, or you're really focused on like a project or something like that. So Sagittarius, let me know how that resonates. What came up for you guys as I was talking about those things? If you liked this video, make sure you like and subscribe. If you want to work with me, I'll have my link in the description down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This month of September, you're having the 9th and 3rd house being lit up for you. During the month, we're going to go more in depth about the eclipses and each one and how they're kind of playing out in your life. But I wanted to just talk about the houses that are most affected with the eclipses: Mercury, Sun, and Venus moving into Virgo, Saturn moving back into Pisces until February of next year. There's a lot of changes in this part of your chart. So let's just talk about it, or these parts of your chart. Let's talk about the themes and then some of the underlying lessons around those themes that may, come up, because oftentimes during eclipse season, a lot of change happens out in the world. And when we can reorient ourselves to the lesson underneath what's happening, it can give us perspective. Capricorns tend to do well with having perspective. But you're still human, right? Let's talk about the themes. So we've got the 9th house, which is higher education, long distance travel, beliefs, legal matters, mentors, finding truth and meaning and purpose in the world. And then we've got the 3rd house, which is your immediate local environment, your day-to-day. The 9th house is your horizon. So the 3rd house is where you are. Your neighbors, siblings, cousins, communication, mindset. This is also a house of learning, generally on a smaller scale. So skills or courses here and there rather than higher education. There could be a desire to move more, to travel, to study, to expand your horizons. In some ways, I can also see like the lesson beneath these things is to repattern how you think and speak so that your worldview and how you move day to day feel more aligned. It's almost like you're bringing the external bringing the horizon into your immediate local environment, and therefore repatterning the local environment and how you relate to it. What beliefs are outdated? And in what ways is there a new truth that wants to shape your mind, your communication? Let's see if the tarot has anything for you guys. some of you guys could possibly be wanting to really take up learning. The ninth house is also about teaching. So maybe some of you guys are wanting to teach. I keep hearing something about writing, speaking, words. Like something is happening around communication and expressing yourself. It really just feels like for you guys, you're being asked to bring your expansive philosophy from out into this like theoretical realm into the practical day-to-day realm, and maybe doing that through words. Let's see if the tarot has any advice for you guys. My Capricorns. Justice. This is a card of balance. Legality, fairness is a collective reading. So for some of you guys, there may be actually some sort of a legal proceeding that's happening. When justice comes up, it's asking for you to maintain balance, to be fair, to be just. This is the major arcana, right? This is almost like, in some ways, reminding you that it's not always the card of this, but I heard this, so I want to say this, is like what goes around comes around, and learning consequence. Like what I feel for Capricorn people sometimes is that you can feel like you have to be the one who does the heavy lifting of like teaching people their lessons, because being ruled by Saturn, he's like the taskmaster in some ways, like the, and maybe that can be like oppressive for people around you, and also oppressive for you, because like it's not your responsibility to always teach people lessons, so in some ways I'm feeling there's this like balancing of that, where like trusting that justice and fairness and balance will be done without your need to interfere all the time. So like if you're wronged or something doesn't go as planned, like trusting something bigger. Yeah, for some reason that's what's coming up with justice for you guys. Capricorns, how does that resonate for you? Please let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to work with me, I'll have my link in the description down below. I'll see you guys next time. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have your 8th and your 2nd house lit up during the month of September with eclipses, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus moving into Virgo, Saturn moving back into Pisces. As I mentioned in the first part of this video, I'm going to be going over these things in more depth while as September goes on, but I wanted to just talk about the parts of your chart that are most impacted this month with the eclipses and those things I just mentioned, where change could be happening. Now for you guys, as I said, it's the 2nd and 8th house. So the themes here are your resources, other people's resources, so that's money and assets, your self-worth and how other people value you, your values, other people's values, your self-worth. The 8th house is intimacy and vulnerability. This is where we have addictive qualities around, or addictions, especially around relationships. This is a house of psychological healing as well. And for you, this is where you have the 8th house is where you have the South Node. And the 2nd house is where you have the North Node and Saturn moving back as well. So in a lot of ways, similarly to Leo's, this is about releasing entanglements that don't support your worth, but in a different way, right? And like I said, I'll talk about this more in depth when we get to each eclipse and how they're impacting you, where the nodes are at that time, and the rulers and all those things, and the human design and everything. But for you guys, I have this sense that you've given away a lot of your power to other people, and it's time to reclaim it. It's not good enough to wait for other people to value you first before you value yourself. There's something around, like, you know, for Leos, it's almost like they have to learn that they don't have to do it on their own and like lean into support of others. And for Aquarius, once again, it's very nuanced, but there's something like you have to lean into doing it for you first, and then letting people support you. I think for Aquarius, because of this like equality aspect, there can be this like, oh, well, how can I help you? And like, how can I help the collective? How can I help the community, the group? And right now, there's something about like knowing your sense of worth first. Yeah, that just keeps coming up. It's like very nuanced differences. But of course, like I said, we'll go into it deeper. Let's see if the tarot has anything else for you guys. It just helps to know, though, that the lesson that you're being asked to learn during this month with these eclipses is how you can balance out these two parts of your chart. How other people value you versus how you value yourself. Anytime the 8th house is indicated too, we can have, although less likely for you guys because you got the South Node there, but there could be money coming, like chunks of money that you weren't expecting. It could even be like $50, like, you know, you get a random rebate or something that you weren't expecting, but still, something like that could definitely happen. Or you could have an increase in the money that you make because of putting yourself first. Because the 2nd house is your income, and that's where the North Node is. But Saturn's there. That's what I'm saying. It's like you have to rebuild structure around self-worth and value. Okay, any advice for my Aquarius? Oh my goodness. Wheel of Fortune, tides are turning. Whenever Wheel of Fortune comes up, it generally, I've noticed that tides are turning for the better. That there is something bigger than yourself happening right now. And so when you think about resources, value, intimacy, addictions, healing, know that all these 2nd and 8th house things, know that there's something, the wheels are turning in your favor. It's not, this is a collective. I can't tell you specifically without doing a personal reading, but generally it's for the positive. And remembering that eclipses don't happen just in this month, although this card really, I'm pulling the advice for this month. So when I get the Wheel of Fortune, the advice is to trust that if things are not going well, they will go well. You're in a different season, you're in a different cycle. And then being humble enough to realize that if things are going really well, that too can change, or that too will change, right? That's how life works. And so how can we remain slightly detached in whatever is happening, whether it's good or bad, is something that's coming up strongly for you guys right now. Let me know how that resonates for you guys, Aquarius. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, I'll have my link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys have this 1st and 7th house being lit up this month with the eclipses, Saturn moving back into your sign, Mercury, Sun, Venus in Virgo. I just feel like I want to tell you guys to slow down. Some of you may not be feeling so great about Saturn moving back into your sign. Oh, we've got a card flying out for you guys. Oh, this is what I just got for for Aquarius. But it's funny is, as I was saying, some of you guys may not be happy about Saturn moving back into your sign, and then we get the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, some of you guys may not be happy about this, but the lesson or the advice here is like, no, this is, there is a change happening. Something massive is shifting. And of course, you being one of the mutable signs, especially if you have anything around 14, 15, 16, or 27, 28, 29 degrees of Pisces, the eclipses are going to be hitting you quite directly. But regardless, they're going to be affecting you because that first seventh house is angular. And so you're going to be feeling there might be a lot of changes. And specifically for you guys, it might be around relationships, right? But with Saturn moving back into your first, like Saturn can bring this heaviness. I feel like with North Node in your first house, you may have been feeling lighter or like more ready to move forward with something. And Saturn is coming back into the first to ground it down, to make it heavy so it sticks. And so your job right now is just to focus on what do you want to stick? Because when the Wheel of Fortune comes, it's saying like there are forces beyond your control, which we know, and as Pisces, that's really how it is anyway, but especially so right now, right? We've got the eclipses, karma, fate, destiny, but something is trying to work in your favor. And as I told Aquarius, this is a collective reading, so I can't say for sure that it's going to be turning from bad to good because I don't know where you are right now. But remembering that if you're in a position that's difficult, that too will change. And if you're in a position that's not difficult, that too will change. So the themes for you guys are really around partnerships, other people in your life, and your body, your identity, your appearance, your outlook, your attitude. Those are the things that are being affected for you specifically. So I could see this, that as you weigh down your sense of identity with Saturn over the next several months or during the month of September, your relationships will also have to recalibrate to fit this new structure that you're building around yourself. How do your current connections mirror back to you or show you who you're becoming? And in what ways are you being asked to choose the people that you have around you more carefully? Right? Because the South Node is in the 7th, but we've got the Sun there, Mercury is going to go there, Venus as well. So there's a lot of immediate emphasis on other people. So there might be other people changing, right? Oftentimes when we have 7th house transits, other people that are going through changes. But here it's like, it's asking you to not only solidify your new identity, but to also solidify in some ways the relationships that you want to keep going forward, that you want to give energy to going forward. Are your relationships bringing out more of you, or are they suppressing you? Are they pushing it down? Choose yourself and the right people will come. That's what I'm feeling during this time for you. And to once again trust that no matter where you are, the tides change. Something bigger is at play here and is trying to redirect you into something that is necessary for you to have. How much can you trust that? So Pisces, let me know how that resonates for you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you would like to work with me, I'll have my link in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.